Welcome to Three Questions, where critical thinking is king, and my opinions and research are only here to support your learning and hopefully deeper understanding. Hey, I'm your host, Meghann, and I'm so honored you clicked on Three Questions today, mostly because I have a very special guest. Today in the studio with me, who will be answering three questions, is my good friend Stephanie Comella. Now, Stephanie has been working with spinal cord injury specific and other neuro conditions since 2011. She blends her formal education. She's got a bachelor in science and exercise biology. She's a Pilates teacher, and she's also studied other movement modalities. I'm not going to name them all. I'll put in the notes her bio so you can get a sneak peek all about Steph. But what I want to highlight today is, number one, her book, From the Ground Up, which is Stephanie's techniques. And she wrote this with one of her former clients, Theo St. Francis, who had the luxury of training once, who is a doll. And they put this book together as a resource for both practitioners and people living with spinal cord injuries. I'll put that link in the show notes. And she's also written Chapter 8 in Volume 2 of the Pilates Applications for Health Conditions. I also wrote a chapter in this book. I still can't remember the title and have to look at it every time, but I will also put this in the show notes. So she's done a few things, and she's an amazing person. So welcome to the podcast, Stephanie.
Thank you, Meghann. Happy to be here.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. It's been a bit since we've caught up with all things, but
yeah. And I think the last time I saw you in person, when that was a thing, was at one of the Pilates conferences, I think out west in
Monterey.
Was that in Carmel?
Monterey, yeah.
Monterey.
Yeah.
California's a very big state. I'm going to California to see some clients, and I'm always asking, is this close to this? And everything's 4 hours away from each other. So much bigger state than New Jersey. But anyway, we could talk for a long time. Let's get into it a little bit. So, number one, something Stephanie and I have in common is that we both work with people with neurological conditions over Zoom. And let me tell you, before COVID, I didn't even think to do this. And when I was forced to do it over COVID, I won't lie, there was some screaming and crying and thrashing, but I am so glad I did it. So question one, Steph, as of today, you can change your mind tomorrow, but as of today, which we're recording this on August 3rd, you guys are going to be seeing this later in September. As of August 3rd, where's your brain sitting on the in-person balance Zoom combination? Are we 100% Zoom? Do you like 80-20? What are you thinking these days?
Yeah, great question, Meghann, because right now I'm actually in the smack dab in the middle of my summer training intensive. So right now, during the summer months when it's nice in Oregon and there's no snow and I don't have to shovel snow to my studio, I invite clients to come out for a week at a time when we do a 5-day program where we're in the studio, and then I also blend in some adaptive rec and manual therapy with local practitioners. So I'm getting my higher dose of in-person work in these last couple of weeks versus when I'm in winter months, kind of October through May-ish, I'm 95% on Zoom. So most of the year I'm on Zoom, and then I have my summer training intensives. I feel like when I get to my in-person work, it changes it reinvigorates me in a different way. And, getting hands-on with someone, I'm very tactile. I'm a very hands-on practitioner by nature. And so the in-person work really fills that for me. I can get a closer eye on things. But obviously with Zoom, that hands-on component is taken away from me. The beautiful thing about my Zoom clients, though, is that the majority of them have helpers with them in the room. And
so you have hands. Somebody's your hands.
Yes.
Very helpful.
Yeah, and it's really honed in on my verbal teaching skills versus just relying on my hand. Because usually in the studio, it's actually quite silent. I'm tactilely cueing or using the equipment to provide the inputs and feedback. As you know, that's a faster input, faster output. So when I'm on Zoom, it's all verbal. And then I'm teaching that helper on the other side of the screen to be my hands. Like, hey, put your hand here, place pressure here, move their leg in this way, or whatever is needed, which has really honed in on my verbal skills. But then also it's been kind of interesting because I will teach the person on the other side of the screen pretty much exactly how I would teach my clinicians when they take my courses. So like if I'm describing in like, hey, you're gonna set up an exercise like this, I would describe it in pretty much the same way I would teach them how I would in that course. To answer your question, not to like get too far away from your question, to answer your question.
Well, hold on. You just said something that I want to go back to because I think what you said, no. I think you said something interesting. I want to bring the audience's attention to it is stop treating your clients like they don't understand things, right? And I love that you teach people like you would teach a teacher, which I think is awesome for two reasons. People learn the way they individually learn, and sometimes people in this industry overcomplicate things and is not helpful to teachers. So I found it's helped me be a better teacher to teacher and also a better teacher to humans. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I would even say on the other side of that is like, I don't like in my courses, I tell them exactly, I say, this is exactly how I explain it to my clients. And so therefore you can explain it this way to your clients when you go back into your clinic or studio. And it's like, yeah, we can like serratus anterior. It's so funny. Someone, sorry, this is like getting a little bit of.
I love a sidebar. Hello, have you met me? There's 20 sidebars always.
One of my clients, she was like, I don't understand all this Harry Potter lingo, serratus anterior, latissimus, or like whatever. I don't speak Harry Potter. And that got me. I'm a Harry Potter fan.
That's hysterical.
She's like, I love what you said. You said armpit muscle. I understand armpit muscle. And I'm like, great. Let's just call it the armpit muscle. Like we don't need to, whatever resonates.
I also think, I just stepped away from teaching a course on scoliosis, and what the teacher said was, wow, this makes a lot more sense. If you can't explain something simply, that means you don't truly understand it. Right. And, talking about language we use is important to clarify what we mean, because Stephanie might mean something completely different than me with one word. But I would always ask Stephanie, hey, what do you mean by that? Rather than assuming Stephanie's wrong and doesn't know shit, right? So I love that you do that, and it makes people part of the process. And dare I say, I've been doing this for 23, 24 years. My clients over Zoom, I think, have made the most progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's like, at the beginning of COVID, as you said, it was kind of like very stressful. You have a whole different operation. There's a learning curve with Zoom and people having to, move their own body around now. Like I'm not going to be the one to place the foot and all of that. But with that came so many amazing things like, yes, they have to move their own body around. Yes, they have to learn. They have to be able to articulate things to their helper if they have a helper. They had to invest in a home setup, which finally, right? They had, now I started.
Well, wouldn't it be easier if there was just a quick fix? Like, I love when people are like, oh, I have a client with MS. What should I do? And I'm like, well, first of all, take my course. But second of all, there's not a magic exercise for people. So I love that something I love about the work that you do, Steph, is putting the ownership on the client as well. You need your setup. This is what you need. And I think you do a very good job about making it accessible for people so they can do it, because it's not easy. And I wish there was a magic bullet. I wish there was one exercise I could give my clients. I say to them, listen, if there was one exercise, I'd have a lot more time and a lot more money.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the beauty too of Zoom was, and also for like you were saying with this autonomy, was I started recording all my sessions. I don't know what impetus that was, but I started recording everything. And then basically I just said in between sessions, do the recording again. So they had literally no excuse, not, outside of time and maybe energy. They had no excuse, like all of the resources and tools I had provided for them. They were able to replicate everything at home. They had the recording, they had the notes, they have the tools, the setup, everything. So yeah.
But you also do a good job on motivating and keeping people hopeful, because we can give people everything they need. And listen, I'm hard on our neuro studio teachers. Whenever they say to me, my client's not doing their homework, I said, well, you gave them shitty homework.
Yeah.
I put it on the teacher, because it is so hard. It is so hard to recover from a stroke, a spinal cord injury, deal with progressive disease. So when they're not doing it, I think it wasn't impactful enough, and I like how you really make that a priority.
Yeah.
So
I always say, Meghann, and I think we have a very similar philosophy on all of this, is like, if your client's not performing in the way you want them to, it's not their fault. It is most likely the clinician's, it's on the onus of the clinician to find the right input, the right motivation, the right strategy and program so that they perform in the way, whatever that is.
Being a teacher's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an art. And like, I don't think they teach that enough in, it's like, we have all these like fancy degrees and certifications and stuff, but those soft skills are not taught.
Well, that's education. And that's part of that's what my doctorate is in, is using different models of education and movement arena, because I see so many people who were told they're not smart, not good movers, not this. And it was not geared to a way they could receive the information. They're speaking Greek to people. Mm-hmm. So again, the fact,
Potter.
Yeah, there you go. Speaking Harry Potter. But I love your approach. And so going back to the original question, so guys, Stephanie does these in-person intensives in the summer. So if you're listening with a spinal cord injury specifically and other neuro conditions, you can reach out, get on her wait list for an intensive, and do Zoom. Right now, I am pretty much 85% Zoom, but I travel a lot to teach. I have a lot of in-person clients, so we do in-person and a Zoom combination. But there's also clients I just see on Zoom, fully recovered or recovering from a stroke. So are you going to keep that model for now? Are you making any changes?
100%. No, I will absolutely keep the Zoom model. Like, no, yeah.
I love it.
I don't even know if I need to further explain. Like, it's just it makes
period.
us it makes us accessible to people all over the world, and if it's a weekly session or if it's more of a consulting role, I do that too. So like, people will like you, I think people will log in with their practitioner as a team, like a duo.
Oh yes, I do about 5 coaching calls a day. That's what I find I do the most. But I still love working with one-to-one clients, even all these years in. And that's another thing. What's important to me, guys, about education is, yes, I teach a lot of these courses, but I still see patients. Stephanie teaches courses, but she also sees patients. I believe that is critical.
Yeah, I say, like, you got to stay in the trenches. Like, you got to stay in touch with the people. And I'm learning things every single session. Like, I say this all the time. My students are the best teachers. And I will say I learn a lot with the Zoom work. It's specifically like more like floor-based and like low equipment and all that kind of stuff, and queuing. I learn a lot of queuing. The in-person work teaches me a whole different set of skills. And oftentimes the people that I'm teaching in my courses are in-person, hands-on. I mean, the Zoom, I think, is still relatively, not a lot of people are doing that. And so when I'm in clinic or when I'm in course, I need to be able to teach still that in-person work as well. So yeah, I think it's good to have the both. Like, both are great for the client and both are great for me too.
Yeah, from a business standpoint and from a client standpoint.
Yeah.
And the other benefit of it is, the cerebellum models I developed are great for Zoom. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll put in the show notes the course where we teach that. And I'm also going to put in all Stephanie's in-person courses. If you want more tools to working with spinal cord injuries and want to be in person, definitely check out those courses. So I'm going to get to question 2.
Okay.
And I'm kind of excited to hear your thoughts on this. I don't like these podcasts to be overly technical because we have courses for that and we talk about that shit all day long. But something that I see specifically in stroke and spinal cord injury is the difficulty in finding a tribe, how I just explain it. Mm-hmm. So how do you guide your let's just talk about spinal cord injury, because I know that you're not a one-trick pony, but that is kind of your bread and butter, your expertise.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
That's fair.
I want to get a good answer from you, so I need to ask a good question. And I think what I really want to ask is, how can we encourage other practitioners, doctors, physical therapists, OTs to not make it so difficult for people to find a tribe? That's the question I want to ask.
Are you saying our clients to have a community, or are you saying the clinicians to have?
I initially was going to make it about the clients, but I think a limiting factor to finding a tribe of clinicians, a team, because I believe it takes a village, is impeded by the lack of communication among professionals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Say what you want to say.
This is it's a great question, because I'm still honestly very much struggling with my both professional community and then also creating a community. You know, on Zoom, you don't have that hub for your clients to just, like, they're not talking in the waiting room, or they're not talking in the lobby or whatever. There isn't that. So I'm trying to figure out how to create a virtual space for all my people. I recently started clumping clients together in a text thread. That's been kind of my thing. And then they've been kind of going back and forth on, hey, how did you set this? Because they're all doing similar stuff. And they're like, oh, I had my friend build me this dowel thing. And so they're kind of sharing ideas on how they're doing that. That's kind of the beginnings of it. We'll see where that goes.
And listen, it's like, maybe there's people who like support groups and people who don't. So I'm talking less about the support group. I love that you're connecting people, like, hey, what setup did you use? How did you overcome this? But sometimes those become, like, in a big group, like a dumpster fire, where people just pile on bad stuff. And our clientele, the Neuro Studio and my specific, that's not what they're there for. Where I really want to get this dialogue to go is when somebody goes to PT, then they see their doctor, then they see someone like you, and they're like, I'm confused. You're telling me to do this. I'll give MS, for example. A lot of their doctors and PTs are telling them to stretch, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I don't want you to do for your spasticity. So how can we as practitioners lead from the front and how do you handle a conversation like that when, oh, I'm confused, my doctor told me this?
Yeah. Okay. I really just had a conversation actually recently. So in Bend, Oregon, outdoor activity is a massive part of our culture. And so so there's a local organization called Oregon Adaptive Sports. They're amazing. They do winter sports and they do summer sports. Particularly in summer, they do mountain biking, adaptive mountain biking. Yeah. So I headed out to one of their recent mountain biking camps just to kind of see how things go. And I came to this realization that a lot of us have the same mission, right? Like empowerment and getting this person to do things in life that they want to do and participate in life. Like, I think, period, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
We are just on different parts of that spectrum, right? So I might be before or even concurrent to someone getting back to a rec sport. And so having that understanding, say, hey, we're not competing at all here. Like, we are just different pieces to this person's journey. And I want to make that also very clear. In my courses, I have recently started to have more acute PTs, inpatient PTs, outpatient PTs, neurospecialists, whatever that means, Pilates teachers, yoga teachers, caretakers have come also to my courses. And at the beginning of the course, I literally map out, like, what is our person's journey in recovery, and then maybe eventually wellness, and where does each person in that course who's attending, where does each person enter that person's journey? And it just shows this, like, beautiful cascading effect of how we're not competing. Like, I'm not competing against a physical therapist to say who is better or who has got better ideas. It's just we are at different entry points. And how can we support each other? How can someone upstream plant seeds that makes my job and that person's experience better downstream, right?
Yeah, and I think everybody's saying that, but nobody's doing it. So
Yeah.
what I want the audience to hear is, what I want you guys to take away from this is one thing Stephanie said. We all have the same goals. We all want people to move better. Stop thinking that you're going to be the reason why. Be a part of it. And at the end of the day, I always say to my clients, yeah, did that feel good? Did that work? Then do this. You can also do this, to give people choices. So I love that you're inviting everybody into the conversation. And if you're a practitioner who works with spinal cord injuries, going to Stephanie's course and learning from her doesn't diminish your light or what you're doing. We can all kind of learn and share and grow with each other. That's one of the reasons why I'm having not all of it, but a majority of the authors from the book, is everybody's talking about abundance mindset and lifting each other up, but I'm not seeing it. So you, me, all the other teachers, and the people listening to this, I'm preaching to the choir. You know, I'm talking to an audience who kind of agrees.
Yeah.
But it can start with us. It can start with us.
And I think it starts with having these conversations, like you said, and it starts with just having conversations with people. Like, I love that you have started a podcast. I wanted to. But you know, things are thinging in life right now. But I think, having conversations.
You will when you're ready and want to. I wanted to have the right idea for it. What'd you say?
I just want to be guests on podcasts, I
think that's fine. I mean, the reason I started this podcast was I was sick of the lack of critical thinking. And if I wanted to see the change, that's kind of who I am. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll, I don't know and I have no attachment to the outcome. It's also helping me clear my language out as I'm writing my dissertation and really trying to facilitate change. So selfishly, guys, can I be more concise? Can I be clearer with my intentions? Because to reach my goals. But I didn't want to do a podcast for a long time. It's like, I feel like, aren't people sick of my fucking voice already? I mean, you'll laugh at this. My sister, who's older than me, I'd like to point out. Hi, Kim. I'm sure you're listening right now. She listened. It was like such an honor. She was like, I listened to a bunch of your podcasts. I'm like, which one? She's like, I think it was like the first 7. I'm like, in a row? And she's like, yeah, I was walking around the track during one of Anthony's baseball games. And I'm like, Kim, with all due, that is way too much, Meghann. She's like, I know. I felt like hungover after. So but what was interesting is that it resonated with my sister, who's not a movement professional. So who the fuck knows where we're going to end up? And I think you have a lot of important things to say, Stephanie, but there's no rush.
Yeah.
Everybody's still going to be waiting and listening when you're ready to fucking say it. At least I will be. So you'll have one person listening.
Fantastic.
I'm sure a lot more. I'll like, share, and follow all of them. I got you. Oh my God.
You've said that from the very beginning, back when I was like a little budding entrepreneur Instagram account. You were the biggest cheerleader. So.
Well, because I know you can do it. You've got the chops, you have the expertise, you're a engaged person, you're easy to talk to, but you also have the skill to back it up. You study, you learn, and not, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I've always been very honest with you. But I don't see why not. Why not you? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But that was not the segue I wanted. What I really also want you to receive is that it's okay and everybody else, it's okay to do it your way, right? I feel like sometimes we feel like we've got to do it one way, but also we don't have to always reinvent the wheel too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And finding that community. So if you work with spinal cord injury, like give Zebrafish Neuro follow, comments on some of their posts, share some of their posts. I say this all the time. It like really annoys me, guys, is people get frustrated that their social media doesn't take off. yet I never see them commenting and supporting other people.
And being authentic and just,
Yeah,
I mean,
but
I think one of the biggest things, and this could, we could rub this back to your original question too about creating community, is like, let's just be real. And the best advice that I got when not even starting my Instagram, when I was like, okay, I want to create a community here. I just showed up on my stories and just talked and shared things. What was on my mind, I called it like Monday musings.
Yeah.
Whatever was on my mind. And I saw the biggest growth in my community when I just started showing up and sharing, and people started engaging back a lot more too, when they felt like I was like a real person on the other side. And the biggest compliment that I get now is when people meet me in person or we get on a call and they say, oh, I feel like I already know you. I'm like, oh,
well, because you're the same person. Yes, but not everybody is like that. And I know I rub some people the wrong way. Like I said, you don't have to like me. That's not gonna, like, your opinion about me doesn't change who I am. But I would prefer if you did like me. I love when people are like, oh, I don't care if people like me. Bullshit. Like, I would much prefer you like me. Like, come on. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you are. And you know my Shantae, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, yeah.
So we have her come and speak to our level 3 teachers every year about social media. And she breaks it down so simply. But it's just like, what are you thinking about? Like, just put it out there. And I always say to people, nobody's really watching. And something she said to me it made me laugh. She goes, Meghann, social media is not, it's episodic. It's not like Game of Thrones. People aren't waiting for you to drop the next episode. And I was like, what do you mean they're not? I thought they were all waiting for my next post. And she's like, yeah, nobody cares. It's like Family Guy, where you can just pick up and watch an episode and not need background. I was like trying to tell a story on social media. This is back in the day. And she's like, you're not Game of Thrones. And it took so much pressure off because I felt like I had to tell this story. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that.
I know.
So, anyway, we got off topic, on topic. Who the hell cares where we're at right now?
Yeah.
But
Meghann, you bring up a really, really interesting point with like either non-communication across our clinician community, or even like competition, which is really silly because everyone needs help. Like, there's
a lot of people, unfortunately, have a scarcity mindset.
Yeah, there's enough people to go around that we can help, right? I just started to like not care about that, and I just started, and especially too because I don't have a brick and mortar. I think that was helpful personally for me. Like, I don't have a brick and mortar. I am not trying to hoard clients. I'm not trying to like gain more clients, to be honest. Like, I'm doing great. And so when I feel like I don't have a competition either. So like, there's no one doing really what I do. So like, how can someone, like, it just doesn't exist even for me. So I much prefer going into other, like, making partnerships with facilities and creating an educational partnership there versus like hoarding information, like saying like, oh, they're going to compete against me. I don't know if that was like what kind of mindset that was for me, but basically I was just like,
do you think it was an increased confidence in your skill?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I was like, no one, I mean, and the most,
nobody's ever going to be, no
one can be me. And that was, I think I'm not scared of someone.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? Like, we were just it was a discussion question in one of my courses, and it's always about interprofessional communication and collaboration. Okay. So the school that I'm getting my doctorate at, it's big on nursing, PT, OT. And I said to the professor, with all due, I feel like we talk about this a lot, but I'm not seeing any improvement here. And I think it's also time. A lot of people are so busy. The idea of having to connect with you and tell you what I did with the client is exhausting. And I don't know if let me tell, one strategy I've used is I just say, how can I best support what you're doing in your clinic? So what are you working on? So this way I can support what you're doing with those clients. And I found that word, how can I support what you guys are doing? I found it like kind of chilled everybody out.
Yeah.
Not
we're on the same team.
Yeah. Well, because in the past, I would be like, yeah, every time you send them back to my studio, their spasticity and tone is increased. So I'm so glad you did all these crazy exercises with them, but you made my job harder. I never said that, but I was thinking it. So maybe that's a strategy. I also like Stephanie's strategy of doing, and correct me if I'm misquoting you, doing what you do. Like you do what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Just
I
do
love
what you do.
that.
Yeah. And I recently just started, so again, with this adaptive rep organization that I was saying, like basically we're starting this partnership, and actually next week I have one of their coaches, their mountain biking coaches, coming into the studio to see what I do, and then we're gonna see like how can we again.
Wow, that's gonna
how
be
can we support each
so
other?
amazing for
Yeah,
the
that'll be
community.
great. Yeah. And then I found an amazing craniosacral therapist. She operates in the way that I really feel is beneficial. Like her style of manual therapy is exactly what I think my clients need. And so we've started to, I'll send all my in-person clients when they come for a week intensive. I send them to her. I write her a report. She writes back. We speak the same language. And then, she's always kind of like, oh, what did you find, the day after, what observations? And so I send her a report back, and we go back and forth, and I say, it's just been a cool collaboration with her. Again, we speak the same language, but we have very different skill sets. And, I can I try like some cupping stuff, but she's got the magic hands. And so like, just that partnership feels so beautiful and very.
And then you don't have to do that. You've got someone and you can do what you do. I love that. So maybe the answer is find, I'll quote my good friend Daria, who I remember years ago said to me, Meg, just find your tribe. Meaning find your people. Because for a long time, I always felt a little I've always been a little bit of a disruptor in the Pilates industry. So not that I felt left out, but didn't feel a part of it. And she just said, find your tribe, to which I had met you and other teachers. So maybe the answer to the question, to summarize, find your tribe to support your clients, better communication, and do what you do.
Yeah, that's a good summary. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks for your...
And don't be afraid to educate your community if they're not educated in neuro, right? Like I set aside time, like I went to Emily and I said, hey, these are some things to know about spinal cord injury from a manual therapy standpoint, things to consider. And she was so appreciative, and then got the confidence to then actually start working with my clients. Like she had no experience.
Is Emily the craniosacral person you work with?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Sorry. Excuse me. Yeah.
No, so, I just want to make sure I was following.
I think just making sure that you're like, if that community, and that again, like building your allied health container, I guess, is making sure that everyone also feels comfortable working with your clients too.
Love it. So let's kind of get out of the spinal cord injury box here. And on social media, I have seen you post about your pups, who are adorable, look like legends. I'm a dog fanatic. But I also noticed you have a garden. So I want to know, what were your intentions of starting a garden? But more specifically, have there been any lessons or experiences that have come unexpected that has come out from having a garden? I'm not starting one, but I'm just, for other people who might be interested.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to sound too nerdy. No, you said unfiltered, so here we go. Okay.
And if you get too nerdy, I'll just fall asleep, and then you'll notice I'm talking.
I feel like I am so passionate about spinal cord injury, but someone starts talking to me about gardening and plants, and I get even more.
Oh my God, you just got a horticulture boner. Your leaves went up.
And okay, gosh, there's so many levels to this. When I was living in San Francisco Bay Area, I say this with love. I'm born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's a rat race. It was so sad. Like people would ask me what my hobbies were, and I literally was like, what, like running? That's my I was like, and it made me feel like I was like, dang, I don't have hobbies that are not remote, like work related. Like I wanted, And so anyway, so like I moved to Oregon, I moved to Central Oregon. We bought this property. I'm looking this way because this is my backyard right here. We have 2 acres of land. And I said, I'm going to start I think there was like a little garden already started here from the previous owner. And I was like, I'm going to roll with this. And I don't do things half-assed. Like I am all or nothing. And so
Put your full ass behind it.
I put my full ass behind things. Yes. And so we built like a 50-foot by 20-foot fenced-in garden. I built from hand, like from scratch, like garden beds. And like I went down the rabbit hole of soil research, like soil science, like irrigation design, like what's the most economical way to do your irrigation. I loved it because it had nothing to do with work, but it was working my brain in a very intellectual way. And I kind of joke, like I could almost care less about the harvest. It's more, I love the like planning, the like logistics of it all.
The process.
And then the process. And then I kind of just let it go. Like the end result, I've realized like I don't really enjoy it. I mean, I do enjoy it.
So are your vegetables gross? Is that what I'm hearing?
I wouldn't say I have a super fruitful garden. I mean, mind you, this is my 3rd year and everyone says that gardening really comes to fruition. It becomes fruitful like after your 3rd year. So
unintended.
I'm kind of in this like, my first 2 years were just trial.
But I love that you didn't give up with it. And then, and that's what I was just saying about the podcast. One of my business mentors was like, what are your goals with this? She thought it was one thing. And I was like, I want to enjoy the process. Like, I just think that's so important. So by harvesting plants, you learned how to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And I think there's so many lessons in life and how we work with our clients and being patient. I mean, what's been your biggest takeaway from
my garden?
Yeah.
This year I came to the realization that there comes a point where you can't really control the outcome. And so you kind of just throw your seeds out and do your best. And you water a little bit every day and you pull the dead leaves off. But like my broccoli's a dud and I did everything right by textbook.
Yeah, but broccoli can make you very gassy. So maybe it's a good thing. Oh my God, cauliflower, the cruciferous vegetables, and I do not get along.
Yeah, and so I think just lesson learned is like you can do your best you can. Sometimes it's better just buy the broccoli at the store. I don't know. I don't know what kind of life lesson comes.
No, I figured I think that's an amazing lesson. And it goes for me right to what you just said is like, I say the work we do is like cooking. So if you don't like how the food tastes, it's all about the preparation. And a lot of my mentees, what do I say to them? Step 1. What's step 1? You're at step 7. Where's step 1? And I just feel like what you're doing is like how we kind of should approach everything in life. You can't skip steps. And if you do, the outcome's going to be whatever, but whatever.
Yeah. And sometimes intentionally skipping steps to be like, can I skip this step?
Test it. I love it.
Yeah. And then you're like, well, yep, I shouldn't have skipped that step.
Or maybe you find a step where you're like, oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I am now the irrigation queen. You know, who knows?
Yeah. I oftentimes plant 2 sets of seeds in different locations and this is so funny. Like it's
you A and B test it. Yeah, I love it.
So it is. My garden is, I say it's not work related, but in so many ways, like I'm still
amazing.
a scientist and I'm still testing inputs and still testing,
you would love my cousin Erin. She lives in Asheville. Her and her husband have a landscape kind of design company, and she's like amazing like this. She knows exactly where to plant things. Because I was like, I want to put hydrangeas there. She's like, not with that sunlight. So unless you're gonna change where the sun is, and I'm just like, yeah, but I want a hydrangea there. She's like, Meg, it's not gonna grow right. And it's just amazing to me how we miss the obvious because it's not what we want to hear.
Yeah.
But I want a hydrangea there.
Yeah. I want to grow broccoli so bad, but I'm just realizing it's not going to happen.
What's the problem with broccoli? Is it a tricky one?
I don't know. I don't
Maybe it's
think
the soil.
well,
Like,
because actually last year I had a really good broccoli, but I don't know if that was a fluke. Central Oregon,
okay, I
where I live.
literally just heard because of, I have celiac and there's all this stuff with gluten. And I was just advised is to be careful because you know how they rotate crops?
Oh,
So,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
but they were saying they rotate crops because when they grow one year, it doesn't grow good the other year.
Yeah.
But what sucks is for someone with celiac, and I'm like, well, and then I was like, oh my God, as soon as you're born, you're dying. I need to not worry about this kind of stuff. But who would even know that?
Yeah, I remember my friend telling me about that. Like she couldn't have oats grown in a field that previously grew wheat, right? Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's like too much.
Yeah, too much to think about. Yeah, and so yeah. Anyways, my
The broccoli this year was a dud, but the process was fun.
Process fun, and I've just made the decision I'm not going to grow broccoli anymore, which is fine. Because my carrots are crushing, my kale is crushing, my cucumbers.
I love cucumbers. Are they big or little cucumbers?
I do pickling cucumbers.
Oh, love those.
And then I grow dill, and then I make dill pickles.
I receive gifts. So if you want to send me some dill pickle.
Fair.
Did you like how I said that? I receive gifts.
I need to find some plastic. I'm already thinking plastic jars that I can seal. Anyways.
Oh my God, so interesting. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on today and answering maybe 17 questions, but 3 big ones. I think the work you do is important. I think the conversation we had, even though there is no answer to those questions, guys, I wanted to bring them up because I think we can all, myself included, be more supportive, be better, and find the ways where you can. You don't have to be everything to everybody. I make it a point to comment on every single one of my mentees' posts that I see. So I tell them if I didn't comment, I didn't see. And the reason I do that is I want them to know that somebody cares, right? So maybe you just do that. Just comment on all your friends' posts. It goes a long way, right? And what's interesting is algorithms too, because I actually went to your page and I was like, oh, maybe Stephanie hasn't been posting as much, and you have, but for some reason it wasn't coming up on my algorithm because I only look when I'm scrolling, literally it's corgis, because one of my students, Corey, has a corgi, and beagles, because all I do is watch beagle videos. So if there's ever, I'm saying to you right now, if there's ever a post that you put out and you think it's like, just send it to me so I see it. Because I can't ask you all to support me if I'm not going to support you back. I mean, I can, but that would be dick. Hey, Steph, I think we lost your sound. Did you just tap something? So before I let everybody go, I'm going to put in the show notes some things about Stephanie's workshop, her website, where you can find her, what her intensives look like, how she does Zoom sessions. Because although I do those as well, we all do them differently. So finding a formula that works for you might give you the confidence to do that. And Steph, did you have to add one more thing?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing, because there's a lot of people that say they want to support you or say they do support you, but then feel sort of empty. And I just wanted to say, before we even had published our book, Theo and I think I texted you and said, hey, I really want to take your course. I haven't taken your course yet because I want to make sure that I put together my curriculum and I'm not stealing any of your content, either subconsciously or, whatever.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt. It's not stealing. I didn't invent movement, but anyway.
And you said the exact same thing in the text, and you said, whatever it is you're concerned about, you're not concerned. And that just gave me so much confidence to be like, wow, this girl actually really does support other clinicians. And I just want to say, you and the neuro student, you and Mariska, have really been a beacon of light for how I wanted to set up my own business. And I felt like I said this from the beginning, you guys sort of paved the way for me to know what that looks like in the trajectory of building an online business. So thank you for that.
And thank you. And that is the goal. So I hope other people have that experience. If they didn't, let us know how we can do better, because I make a lot of mistakes every day. Just to go with what Stephanie said is, yeah, at the Neuro Studio, we pioneered ways to address spasticity, okay, as more of a protective mechanism and different stuff like that. And why we did that is not to gatekeep and be like, this is the Neuro Studio. It's to actually help people, because stretching and the current protocols weren't there. Now, everybody's going to have their way of dealing with spasticity. But again, understanding where it came from. And Stephanie, you always, like, anytime, you've taken a bunch of our courses on spasticity, you always credit in a way that's appropriate. You don't have to say my name. You can just teach spasticity correctly. To me, I would rather that than someone try to reinvent the wheel and make it their own. Just teach it correctly. And so I really love how you have done that, but put your own spin on things, because the reason we all have the same goals. My approach is different from Mariska's, is different from yours. So thank you for reaching out, having those difficult conversations, and we always get to a good place, right? So again, hopefully you guys can hear this discussion and maybe ask something from someone, or let them know they didn't do the right thing, and give them the opportunity to do better. Because I really do believe all the people listening to this and practitioners, Steph, I'll have you say it. We all have the what?
We all have the same goal for our clients and for our people.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much. I will see you on the next episode of 3 Questions. We'll have some fun, some critical thinking, probably some inappropriate language, but that's how we work.